Let me start with context. Some of what you'll hear today is informed by confidential conversations. Remarks shared on a previous confidential remarks made publicly on the Tipping Point episode in Residential Real Estate Podcast episode on January 27th. That day mattered, not because it was dramatic, but because it was revealing. January 27th was the moment the industry said the quiet part out loud. Leaders, coaches, and trusted voices doubled down on narratives that no longer matched reality. This presentation isn't about blame. It's about understanding how an industry full of good people reached a point where defending the familiar felt safer than facing what had already changed, and when industry leaders stopped telling the truth out loud. This is Steve Colano, and this is an extremely important confidential remarks. When an industry is under pressure, it often responds the same way people do, by protecting what it knows. The story being told right now is comforting. The market is already fair, critics are biased, and disruption is unnecessary. That story isn't born from malice. It's born from fear. Fear of losing identity, stability, and relevance. But comfort stories don't stop structural change. They only delay the reckoning. Instead of engaging with uncomfortable data, it's easier to question the motives of whoever presents it. We see that here. If we can label the messenger as biased, we don't have to wrestle with the message. That's a very human reaction. But it's also how progress stalls. Attacking character feels personal and decisive. Engaging facts feels uncertain and slow. One moves us emotionally, the other moves us forward. For years, many people sincerely believed price fixing didn't exist, that there were always choices, always flexibility. That belief didn't come from nowhere. It came from working inside a system that normalized its own rules. But the legal record tells a different story. Courts and regulators didn't imagine constraints. They documented them. Decoupling commissions wasn't a punishment. It was an acknowledgement that what felt like choice often wasn't. When almost everyone participates in the same system, it feels like validation. It feels like proof that it must be working. But high participation can also mean there's nowhere else to go. A free market isn't defined by how many people use it. It's defined by whether people can realistically choose something different. Stability can be a sign of health, or it can be a sign of stagnation. The difference matters. The idea that this could never work usually means this is unfamiliar to us. Hourly and fee-for-service models feel threatening because they challenge long-held assumptions about value and risk. But these models already work elsewhere. They don't erase professionalism. They expand choice. A system confident in its value doesn't fear alternatives. It competes with them. There's an unspoken fear here that if fees go down, respect goes with them. That good agents will leave and quality will disappear. But talent doesn't vanish when systems evolve. It adapts. Technology doesn't cheapen skill. It changes how skill is delivered. Protecting high fees as a proxy for competence confuses income with impact. From the outside, it looked like consumers rejected lower cost options. Inside the system, something else was happening. Steering created invisible walls, subtle, normalized behaviors that limited access without ever saying no. Most people involved didn't see themselves as blocking competition. They were simply following incentives the system rewarded. That's how gated markets persist. Quietly and often unintentionally. When reform is framed as an attack on people like us, it stops being about policy and starts being about identity. That shift is powerful and dangerous. It turns questions about structure into questions about loyalty. But regulation isn't an insult. It's a signal that a system has drifted away from balance. Personalizing it may feel protective, but it prevents honest conversation. The hardest truth is this. The old system wasn't immoral. It was incomplete. High participation didn't mean freedom. Stable prices didn't mean fairness. And reform doesn't mean failure. It means the market is finally being asked to do what markets are supposed to do: adapt, compete, and serve. Resistance isn't about protecting consumers, it's about protecting certainty. And certainty, while comforting, is not the same as sustainability. This has been Confidential Remarks.